Hello, everyone. What I'm sensing here is that this person isn't usually like this at all. I want to make that clear, because it keeps coming through strongly. They're normally grounded, someone who has their life together, not the type to get stuck obsessing over another person. But somehow, they've found themselves in that exact situation. They've been going over things in their mind, replaying conversations, imagining new ones, and even analyzing something you said weeks ago, trying to find hidden meaning in it. At some point, they caught themselves doing this and realized, okay, I need help. I can't keep going in circles like this. So they decided to talk to a professional. But here's the twist. The session didn't calm them down. They probably hoped to hear something reassuring, like maybe they were overthinking or reading too much into things. Instead, they got the opposite. The reading validated everything they were feeling. The person they spoke to picked up on it right away and basically said, "No, this is real. What you're feeling matters. You're not overreacting." And now, instead of feeling better, they're even deeper in it than before. It's almost ironic. They went in looking for clarity or relief, and came out with stronger confirmation of something they already couldn't handle. It's a very specific kind of emotional spiral, and it's unfolding clearly here. Honestly, there's something a little bit funny about it, in a gentle, understanding way. They wanted a way out, and instead got, "You were right all along. Now you just have to deal with it." That's not exactly the outcome they were hoping for. Let me tune into the energy a bit more. I'm picking up strong signs like Scorpio, Pisces, and Virgo. Heavy water and earth energy here, whether that's sun, moon, or rising. This could apply to you or the other person. I'm also sensing Taurus coming through repeatedly, and for some of you, Libra as well. There's a lighter presence of Sagittarius and Gemini too. Not as strong, but still noticeable. As for numbers, I'm getting 3, 11, 17, and 22. These could connect to something meaningful for you, like a birthday, time, or address, something that keeps appearing. I'm also hearing the letters J, M, and R very clearly, with S coming through as well. If any of those initials resonate with you, take that as your confirmation. This message is meant for you. Let me put it in a clearer, more natural way while keeping the same meaning. The reader basically described you in a way that felt incredibly accurate to them, almost like they were watching you up close. They said that you're not just what people see at first glance. There's a depth to you that isn't obvious right away, but once someone notices it, they can't ignore it. It's like you carry a kind of wisdom that feels older than you, something shaped by real experience. And the person thinking about you immediately recognized that. They felt it before, but couldn't explain it, until now. They've always had this sense that they were only seeing part of who you are. And even that small part already felt intense and meaningful to them. So realizing there's even more beneath the surface doesn't scare them. It fascinates them. In fact, it's probably the most intriguing thing they've come across. There was another thing the reader pointed out, and it hits differently depending on where someone is in life. They said you have this natural way of making people feel truly seen, without even trying. You're not pretending to be warm or attentive. You're genuinely interested in people. And in a world where most people are just waiting for their turn to talk, the way you actually listen stands out. It can even feel a little overwhelming to others. People often walk away from conversations with you, feeling like they opened up completely, even if you didn't say much yourself. That kind of presence is rare. It's a quiet kind of magnetism that not everyone has. This person has experienced that with you. Maybe it was just one conversation, maybe a few, but it stayed with them. They felt understood in a way that stuck, and now they keep thinking about you. Because that feeling of being truly seen, it's powerful, and they want to experience it again. And one more thing the reader kept emphasizing: your eyes. There's something about them. No matter how composed you seem on the outside, your eyes reveal something deeper. People notice it, even if they can't explain why. And once they do, it's hard for them to look away. This person noticed it. That was the moment everything shifted. From the very first interaction, there was a brief instant when your eyes met and something unspoken passed between you. They felt it throughout their entire body, and it stayed with them. They haven't really been the same since. What I'm picking up is that what they experienced wasn't just attraction or interest. It felt like recognition. Like when they looked at you, something in them quietly went, "I know you." Not in the sense of having met before, but in a deeper, harder to explain way. As if something older than this life itself was saying, "There you are." That feeling unsettled them. It came out of nowhere and didn't have any logical explanation. They're someone who usually tries to make sense of things, to categorize and understand them. But this didn't fit anywhere. So when logic didn't help, they looked for another kind of answer. They even went to a psychic to ask about your eyes. And I need you to understand what that says about the impact you had. You're just going about your normal life, not realizing that someone is actively trying to make sense of what they felt in a single moment with you. What they were told there wasn't every detail of your life, but the overall pattern of it, that you've been through difficult experiences, that love, in particular, has cost you something real, that there were situations that could have made you shut down, become guarded or smaller, but you didn't let that happen. Instead, you turned those experiences into something else. There's a sense of freedom in you now that comes from surviving something real and deciding not to be defined by it. A kind of quiet strength that says, "I've already been through worse, and I'm still here. I'm okay." That kind of energy doesn't need explanation. It's something people feel. It shows. It radiates. And this person felt it, even without knowing your story. The psychic basically told them, she's an alchemist. She takes painful experiences and turns them into something meaningful and beautiful. When they heard that, it shook them a bit. Not in a negative way, but in the sense that they realized they were already deeply affected by you. And now they understood why. Because it wasn't just attraction anymore. It was something with weight behind it. Something they couldn't easily ignore or step away from. And somehow, actually understanding this situation only makes it feel stronger, not weaker. For some of you, this person has been observing your growth from a distance. Over the past year or so, they've noticed the shift in you, the way you carry yourself differently now, the energy you bring into a room, and how you no longer make yourself smaller just to fit in. They've been watching all of this with a very specific mix of admiration and inner pressure. It's like seeing you step into your power has also made them reflect on their own life, thinking, "I can't afford to stay where I am. This person is moving forward, and I need to move too." For others, they don't really know your story in detail. What they feel is the result of it, the calm confidence, the grounded energy, something about you that's hard to define, but naturally draws them in. Now I want to slow this down and go through some clearer confirmation details, because there's a lot coming through, and it's important not to skim past it. Take your time with this. Come back to it if you need to, because some of these points may feel very specific when they land. Signs. Earlier I mentioned Scorpio, Pisces, Virgo, Taurus, and Libra. Now I'm also getting Cancer very strongly. This could be you, this person, or a major Cancer placement like a moon or rising. Capricorn is also significant here, and I keep sensing the Cancer-Capricorn axis showing up strongly between the two of you. Leo energy is still present, and for some of you, Aquarius also fits into this situation. Numbers. Previously I mentioned 3, 11, 17, and 22, adding 4, 8, and 33 now. That 33 stands out in particular as a master number with very high vibration. If you've been repeatedly noticing 33 or 333 on clocks, receipts, or license plates, that may feel especially meaningful for you. Months. April, August, and November are highlighted. If either you or this person has a birthday in one of those months, it feels like a clear point of recognition, initials and letters. Earlier I mentioned J, M, R, and S. Now I'm also getting C and N very strongly, and B is coming through for some of you as well. Names. I'm hearing names starting with K or Tet, like Chris, Christine, Christy, Kristen, Kyle. There's also an A sound coming through. Alex, Adrian, Amanda, Amber, Anthony. I'm picking up names starting with N. Nicole, Nathan, Nate, Naomi. I'm also hearing a lot of J names. Jordan, Jamie, Jason, Jasmine. There's another name here with a repeated letter or double sound, something like Brittany, Cassidy, or Jesse. I'm really getting that double consonant feel. What I'm sensing about people and energy, there's someone here who works with their hands or in a job that requires precision and skill. It could be medical work, a trade, or even something creative that's very technical in nature. I'm also sensing a strong connection to music for someone. Either they play an instrument, work with music, or it's something that really helps them emotionally process life. For some of you, there's a link to nature, the outdoors, or animals. And I'm also picking up someone who works in tech or spends a lot of time on screens. If any of this is resonating, then this message is meant for you. Let's continue. The emotional message. The reader described that you've been in your own space lately, focused inward, not trying to perform for anyone. You've just been living your life, quietly building something for yourself without needing to announce it. And interestingly, that energy is actually what's drawing this person in more than anything you could have done to impress them directly. The fact that you're fully in your own world, not chasing or orbiting anyone else, is what's making them feel a bit unsettled, even obsessed. They want your attention, and they've wanted it for a while. But the challenge for them is that you don't give your attention away easily. You're not shutting them out. You're just already full. You have your own life, your own focus, your own direction. And they're watching from a distance, wondering how they can become part of it, how they can earn access to your world. And that's a major shift in dynamic. Usually, you might be the one reaching out, trying to get into someone else's space. But this time, it's reversed. They're the ones trying to figure out how to get into yours. Really let that sink in. Past connection energy. For some of you, this person is not new. There's history here, something that didn't go well. Maybe they held back when they should have stepped forward, or they handled things poorly and it cost them the connection. They're aware of that now. They've been thinking about it. Part of why they sought clarity, whether internally or through someone else, is because they're wondering if the door is still open. If they showed up differently now, with honesty and a better approach, would there still be a chance? Or did too much time pass? Was too much damage already done? The reader said to them, "There's still something here, but you can't stay stuck. You can't just wait this out. You need to make a move." What I'm also sensing is that this person feels they owe you something real. Not just an explanation or a few carefully chosen words, but an honest accounting of what actually happened between you. They've already gone over it in their mind many times. They've tried to figure out how to say it in a way that doesn't sound like an excuse. But every time they get close, they reach the moment where they imagine your reaction, and that's where they hesitate and pull back. For some of you, there isn't a long shared history. This connection is newer, but still intense. Even then, they didn't come straight to you. They took a step sideways first because what they're feeling feels important enough that they want to be completely sure before putting it into words. In both cases, they're not treating this lightly. Whatever they went through internally, they went through it because, to them, you matter enough to justify the effort. And we should talk about the intensity of their thoughts for a moment, because it's quite strong. This is someone who thinks about you constantly in the background of their life, during work, in quiet moments, late at night when everything else slows down. They'll be talking to someone, doing something ordinary, and part of their attention is still on you. Replaying things you said, the way you looked at them, or specific moments that keep looping in their mind until they feel almost memorized. They're aware of it too. They recognize this isn't their usual way of thinking. Sometimes they even catch themselves and feel slightly embarrassed, like, why am I still thinking about this? But even then, they don't really stop. And there's also a physical pull here, to be clear. This isn't only emotional or intellectual interest. They are genuinely and strongly attracted to you, and that attraction is layered on top of everything else. The emotional recognition, the depth of the connection, any shared history or meaning. All of it stacks together. For them, carrying all of that at once in a normal day is a lot to handle. They aren't really telling people about this. Or if they are, they're only sharing part of it, because the full truth feels like too much to say out loud. The full version sounds like, I went to a psychic because I can't stop thinking about someone I haven't even fully tried to be with yet. And that's not something most people feel comfortable admitting to friends. So they carry it quietly. It feels heavy, but also strangely comforting. And deep down, they're not even fully sure they want it to disappear. What they actually want, underneath everything, is to come to you with something real. Not a text, not a controlled, half-finished conversation that gives them an easy way out if it doesn't go well. They want to show up in your presence and say something honest, and then see what happens next. They've already imagined it many times. Different versions, different settings, different ways your expression might change when you hear it. They replay it again and again, right up until the moment they're actually standing in front of you, and then it stops there. Because that final moment can't be rehearsed. It's either going to land or it won't. And not knowing which way it goes is what they struggle with most. That's why they keep turning to other ways of making sense of it, like a psychic reading. something that feels like guidance when clarity isn't available. But here's the important part. Every version they imagine includes you. You're always there in the scene. They keep picturing you receiving what they say, which means, at some level, they do believe this connection is possible. They haven't fully talked themselves out of you. They've mostly talked themselves out of the timing. And that timing feels like it's shifting now. Something in them is moving from inner reflection to outward action. The overthinking, the looping thoughts, the imaginary conversations, that phase is coming to a close. There's a decision forming, a line being crossed from thinking about it to doing something about it. They're also looking for a sign, not something dramatic, just something that makes it feel like the moment is right. It could be small, a coincidence, a song, something you post, something they overhear. But they're watching for something that tells them now is the time. For some, this could turn into contact quite soon. There's a sense of urgency building that wasn't there before. It feels like something has clicked internally, like they've realized the window won't stay open forever, especially with the awareness that you're not standing still and waiting around. For some of you, the situation is going to start with you making the first move. There's something building inside you, an urge, a thought, something that keeps resurfacing. You keep getting close to acting on it and then holding back. If that's been your pattern, the message here is that the urge isn't random. It's pointing you somewhere real. What's changing is that this pause you've been stuck in is coming to an end. One way or another, things are about to move. And whatever happens next will likely feel like a kind of relief, the sort that comes when something that's been frozen finally starts to shift again. The message that came through was direct. You do have options. You are seen, you are wanted, and you're not just sitting around waiting for someone else to decide what happens. If someone wants you, really wants this, wants you, they can't stay stuck in almost. That word kept coming up clearly. Almost texting, almost saying it, almost acting. Like both sides have been living in that space right before action for longer than either of you realized. The message was essentially, don't stay in almost anymore. The moment is real, and you're not the only one standing at that edge anymore. And something in them responded to that, not with fear, but with direction. It was like they went in looking for permission and came out with a sense of timing instead. Now, speaking directly about you, because this part matters most. You love deeply, fully. That isn't a small or casual trait, and it shouldn't be treated like one. A lot of people move through connection on the surface level. They perform closeness without really being present. They give partial effort and call it enough. That's not you. When you care about someone, you're all in. You notice things. You remember details other people would overlook. You follow through. You show up in specific, thoughtful ways, not generic ones. You remember how someone likes their coffee. You recall something they mentioned once and bring it up later because it stayed with you. That kind of attention doesn't disappear. It shows in your presence, even before you direct it at anyone intentionally. And people feel that. Even before anything fully starts, they can sense the depth you're capable of offering. For someone who's only known surface-level connection, meeting someone like you can feel like a moment of clarity, like, this is what real care is supposed to feel like. You're someone who keeps your emotions close to your chest. Not because you don't feel deeply, you do, more than most, but because experience has taught you that not everyone earns the right to see that side of you. You've opened up to the wrong people before. You've shared your real self with those who handled it carelessly, and that left a mark. So now you move differently. You observe first. You let people in gradually, on your own terms, and over time, you've become very skilled at telling the difference between someone who genuinely wants you and someone who only wants what they can get from you. The person you're thinking about does want you, and that's important to understand clearly. They didn't go to a reader asking about some idealized version of you or what you might offer them. They asked about you, the real you, as a person. They wanted insight into who you are at your core. That kind of curiosity is different. It's more sincere. The reader told them, "You glow right now." And that wasn't just a casual compliment. It pointed to something real in your energy at this moment. Something about you has recently changed. There's been a shift, an alignment, a kind of internal settling that wasn't there before. Maybe you've been taking better care of yourself. Maybe you made a decision that lifted a weight off you. Or maybe you finally released something you'd been holding on to far too long. Whatever it is, you carry the presence of someone who feels freer now. And that kind of freedom shows. It's noticeable. It's magnetic in a quiet, unforced way. It's the kind of glow that doesn't come from trying. It comes from becoming. When this person looks at you, what they see is light. Not something put on or performed, but something authentic. Something that comes from someone who has done the inner work of becoming more themselves. They came in thinking it was just attraction. What they encountered was something deeper, more layered. And it's important to be clear. None of this is because you tried to make it happen. You didn't chase them. You didn't shape yourself for their attention. You simply showed up as you are, unfiltered, unforced, real. And that, on its own, was enough. That's more than enough. That was the moment that made them pull away and turn toward someone else, because they couldn't fully hold how strongly your presence affected them. Keep that in mind. The next time you feel like you need to be more, be different, or carefully adjust yourself, remember that one of the most powerful things you did was simply being exactly who you are. It feels like they're close to doing something now, like they're right at the edge of a decision, one step already over that line. What you shared or what happened between you has brought them closer to action. Their own emotions have been building too, and everything together feels like it's reaching a tipping point. Something is about to shift them out of this paused state. Whatever this is, it feels like the waiting phase is coming to an end. Something is moving now. Something is breaking the stillness that has been sitting between you and this person. And when that shift happens, don't rush to shrink it down or explain it away. Don't make yourself smaller just to make it easier to process. You're someone who's used to managing your reactions to keep things comfortable for others. But you don't have to do that here. You're allowed to simply receive what comes your way, fully, without immediately analyzing it or deciding what the correct response should be. Let it land first. Let it be real before you try to shape it into something manageable. And here's the core of it. You are worth the effort this person is making toward you. Try not to dismiss that too quickly, because it's easy for you to talk yourself down from it. It's easy to say it's not that serious, or that it doesn't mean much. You've learned how to step away from being fully seen or fully chosen, because that level of attention can feel overwhelming, almost feels safer. It never fully commits. But fully means you actually have something to lose. The real risk here isn't that they're too intense, or that you'll trust them and get hurt, or that their feelings will fade. The bigger risk is that you stay so guarded, so carefully composed, that something real passes by without you fully letting it in. You've been the one who loves first, stays longest, and gives deeply in situations that didn't return that same depth. You already know what that costs. You've felt what it's like to leave pieces of yourself in places that didn't hold them well. This feels different. This person didn't just skim the surface or rush through it. They sat with it, the overthinking, the searching, the double-checking, the emotional spiral, not to hand you something easy or convenient, but to make sure what they're offering is genuine, something meaningful, something worthy of you. That effort alone matters. It shows someone is taking you seriously, even before you ever asked them to. You are the one this reading was about. You're the one who left that impact, the one they couldn't quite define, couldn't forget, and couldn't reason away. You went through something difficult, and still came out lighter, freer, and more fully yourself on the other side. That's not insignificant. That's the whole point. You don't need to chase this, or force it. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to stay open to receiving what's meant for you when it arrives. And it is on its way. Take what speaks to you, let go of what doesn't. If this message resonated, pass it on. Someone in your life probably needs to hear it today, and you likely already know who that is. I'll see you in the next one.